some of the...
I did not do any digging this summer, so bear with me for a slightly archaeological adjacent presentation. I was the accessibility intern at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival, and I attended the BUDC Study Abroad program, abroad being just like more south. I don't know. But yeah. So for the BUDC Study Abroad, if you're interested in getting an internship at a museum in DC, one of like a million museums, then I would really recommend, if you can afford it, because they do give you housing, field trips, and you get 8 credits through it. So it does cost like nearly $10,000. And once you're able to get past that, that includes the tuition, the housing, field trips, and they provide you with a Metro card, which is like a nice bonus. It does not include food, but you do get an apartment in downtown Chinatown. I was very impressed by the quality because it was like BU housing, but it was like a really nice apartment. And it's 4 people for a 2-bedroom apartment. You get 8 credits out of it, which is nice. You do a Washington experience course, and every Friday they take you to like a different Washington significant place. So you do like a lot of monument trips, you do like a boat tour of the Potomac, they do a lot of like cultural lectures on like Washington DC culture and stuff like that. And then you do 1 academic course of your choosing, but you are choosing from their selection, and I was the only non-international relations or political science major. So I did take American foreign policy in the global world, very interesting new topic for me. And then through the Washington experience course, you're required to take an internship. And so that's like a little like, will they, won't they, of does it count for academic credit or not? So you can still get paid, and it does count towards your 8 credits. So it's like that, catch-22. You do find your internship on your own, but the program managers are willing to assist you with the search, revising cover letters, resumes, and then anybody in their network is like up for grabs. And then the Smithsonian Folklife Festival is an annual festival since 1967 that takes place this year. It was 2 weeks. It's out on the National Mall, so if you enjoy the National Mall, you'll see a lot of it. The researchers select themes, usually around 2 themes, for the duration of the festival, and then they invite participants who are related to that theme. Usually there's like a regional theme and then a more broadly thematic theme. I don't know like the right word to describe it, but there's a regional one and like a more broad one, and they invite participants related to that theme to come from all over the world, and they pay them and give them housing in a hotel, and then they set up tables for the duration of the festival. They host demonstrations, performances, discussions, and then basically anything else that they think of during the duration of the festival they like make happen. And then there's the daytime programming, and they had evening concerts. So the festival itself ran from like 9 to 9 usually, based on the different events for the day, and it's free and open to the public. As the accessibility intern, I did receive a $2,000 stipend, and that was increased by the end of the season to I think $2,400 because somebody else on the accessibility team got COVID a day into the festival. So it was just me and the accessibility coordinator for the whole time. And thankfully they recognized that that was a lot of work. So the themes this year were creative encounters, living religions in the US, and the Ozarks faces and facets of the region. So they invited people from around the world of different religions, including a Tibetan Buddhist monk who did a sand mandala for the duration of the festival, so you got to see it like slowly form, and then like they had a big ceremony where they like swept it away because like nothing's permanent. I don't know, it was a whole thing. And then they had an ofrenda. They had I think it's an alfombra de azarin, which was a sawdust carpet, and those were all part of the religion group. And then the Ozarks group is a region. It's like a mountainous region in Mississippi and Arkansas. So they had a bunch of like folk artists. They had a mountain biker. They set up a faux trail for. And this was like a Fayetteville berry from Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is like a big town in the Ozarks. What did I do? Before the festival, it was mostly like a 9-to-5 office work. I did a lot of community outreach with local disability organizations, a lot of schedule consolidation, a lot of Excel spreadsheets, because every section of the festival had like a different schedule Excel, and then I just had to like look at all of them. And then I made the large print and braille festival brochure and a sensory map, which kind of gave a map of the festival and said like where there are a lot of smells, where there are a lot of sounds, like where should you avoid if you're easily overwhelmed. And then during it, I did a lot with the accessible seating and a lot of IT support for captioning screens. We had ASL interpreters and open captioners, which go around with stenography machines and plug in to TV screens and live caption the events. So a daily schedule I would print out every day looked something like that, and we would have anywhere up to eight accessibility supporters on site to do like different things. And then just general assistance. And then afterwards, I went through the metrics of like how many events were accessible, like what should we do next year, what supplies do we have for next year. So if you're interested in like adjacently helping anthropological presentations, this is an interesting job. The schedule, a general schedule, you have your academic class 2 nights a week from 6 to 9, and your Washington Experience class Friday, usually from around 12 to 3, sometimes later. And then you would have general work 4 days a week from 9 to 5. So on the days you had class, you worked 9 to 5, and then in class 6 to 9, it was a whole 12-hour thing. And then during the festival, you would work 8:30, or I worked 8:30 to 7 p.m. every day for 2 weeks with 1 day off. And then a couple weekends thrown in there for like extra preparation. And they would provide lunch during the festival. It was actually very good food. And then the 2 photos are just me driving a golf cart in the National Mall, and then me in the back of a van driving to a museum for a rain day emergency transport. Related opportunities, you meet a lot of people. A lot of people just come because it's like a couple months as a contractor and then the festival. So a lot of different people join in and just like do it for a year. One of the volunteer services people was actually an archaeologist who had just come off like a 20-year career in the National Endowment of the Humanities, so I got to talk to her a lot. And one of the other people I met was a current collections management contractor at the National Museum of the American Indian, and so she was generous enough to give me a private tour of their collection center, which is the Cultural Resource Center, which was like a 20-minute employee shuttle bus ride away from the National Museum of the American Indian, and it was like a private tour of their whole collections facility. It was amazing. It was like 3 floors of just shelves. And so the coolest thing I saw was these duck decoys, which were from 400 BC and like incredibly preserved with the original feathers and stuff like that, which I just was like blown away by. And then you also get a Smithsonian badge, which gives you free access. Well, it's always free, but you don't need a timed ticket, and you can go in any of the staff entrances, and you get a 20% discount at all the Smithsonian museums, which makes a difference because they're pricey. How did I get this? Ask people. Like, I think Angela was talking about it. Like, if you want to do something, ask somebody, and like they usually know people. Email anybody and just attach your resume, but talk nicely when you send that email. And then the Smithsonian websites will always have internships listed, and you can apply through their application portal. And then in the festival, there are internship positions, which are, some of them are stipended, some of them aren't, but the contractor positions, which are the next level up, are also like relatively easy to get if you're like a higher level undergrad or grad student, and they are paid much better. Any questions?
I have 2 questions.
Lovely.
So the first is about the duck decoys.
Yes.
Where are they from?
I believe they were from the Mississippi region, but they were from North America, I'm sure of that. I don't remember the exact area.
Cool.
Okay.
The other thing is you said you made Braille like brochures.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Great question. I was being a little generous with my phrasing. I made the large print version, which was basically copying and pasting from a PDF into a Word document and changing all of the formatting, and we sent that to a Brailleist. So I did not learn Braille for this internship. You don't need to know Braille or ASL. I know neither. But I was a part of the process and generously applied it.
Cool.
But yes.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what the rough time frame is for applying for these kinds of Smithsonian internships? Is it a December deadline or January
I
deadline?
believe it's like, I want to say, it was definitely spring semester. I know I interviewed for it in like the last 3 weeks of spring semester.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so I think the application was early February.
Okay, great.
I think I was just finishing applying for it around spring break,
Mhm.
and I would recommend starting earlier. So as soon as you get back from winter break, I would start looking,
Okay, good.
because
Thanks.
some of them were already closed. But yeah.
Some of them run earlier though, like
Yeah.
October or December,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, I would definitely look, if you're looking for more of like an in-person, like museum management, like visitor services type stuff, I would look way earlier. The festival itself, like, they tend to like be a little offset because it doesn't happen until like late June, July, but you start in like late May. But yeah. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thanks.